Hey, I'm Pascal from Orange Pixel. You probably know by now. And I'm wrapping up some art. Let me show you. I'm wrapping up some artwork, the backgrounds for residual. The original one was this. Let me show you. Yeah. As you can see, this was without the snow, the version. But of course, sometimes the game has a very cold planet and there's not a lot of grass or stuff, so we needed a cold version of the background because it just feels better if the background actually fits the front in terms of temperature and scenery. So there's now a very cold version with snow covered stuff, and there's now a hot version that I'm working on for the planets that have no grass or stuff because it's simply too hot. We need some sort of desert feeling in the background, and it's a very easy thing because I just need to create other color schemes for the most part, and of course add some snow here and there, but most of this is changing the colors, and that completely changes the feel of the game and it looks awesome. I'm gonna show you in a bit. I'm also gonna talk about other stuff that I did because it's been 2 weeks since the last devlog and so much things have been added, so much things. And oh wait, I also added something very cool. You're gonna like it, you're gonna love it. I love it, I like it. People asked for it. It's now in the game. After the intro. First gonna wrap up this. Work has to be done. After the intro we're gonna talk about some cool stuff. You're gonna love it. Just go watch that intro and I'll be here. I'll show you. First thing I'm gonna show you after the intro. I promise. Just intro. Okay, so that cool feature I've been adding in more than a week ago, I shouldn't talk about. I should just show you the cool feature. It's this. Okay, so you might think this is common and many games did this before, swinging on rope type thingies. And I know a lot of games do this, but for me, it's an achievement because I never did it in the game before and I had to figure out how to actually make it look like a rope and have the player interact with it. Now there are a lot of physics engines you can use for things like this, and that's pretty much building a huge skyscraper just to put your bike in. It's a bit much, it's a bit overkill to use a whole engine for it. I just wanted some code that creates a rope. So eventually I ended up with a Verlet integration system, or Verlet, not sure how you pronounce it, not even sure how you come up with it, but it does work. It's fairly simple, and there are many tutorials on the internet. Just Google for it and you'll find one in any type of programming language. It's not a huge amount of code required, but it looks awesome and it works, which is the most important thing of any code I write for my games. It has to work and it has to function, and that's what it does. So all these vines I had that were pretty much strict and straight lines and didn't budge or move or even tremble, they're now replaced. Well, not all of them, but most of them are now replaced with swingable vines, as I call them in the game code, literally. I'm not good at naming things, but Alright, one tip for other game developers: if you plan on adding ropes and things like this to your game, try to do it at the end of the project, because I wasted a lot of time just playing around and just swinging around in my own game, and that wasn't very productive, but it was a lot of fun. So in all, the code took me maybe a day in total to get it up and running, and then I wasted a bunch of time swinging around in my own game. But I added a lot more than just ropes and things like that. I also added a lot of flora. So there's flowers everywhere, and some stuff moves and some stuff lights up the area, and just a bunch of little flower type thingies, and also added little nests and things that now spawn insect-like creatures. It's an alien planet. Nothing really has a name, but some of these are like bees and other are like I don't even know what they are like, but they're annoying because they kind of attack you as a player when you get near them. So there are ways to get rid of them, but I'm not going to spoil too much. And I still have to actually implement it, so that might all change. But there are now insect and creatures and thingies flying around, a lot of new flowers. And anyway, this game is going to be full of great environments and areas that hopefully the player will really stand still and just be in awe and amazed at what's surrounded, and just set up a campfire and sit down for a while and not do anything. That's actually an option in the game. I also added a various type of platforms, so there are now floating rocks, which pretty much scream alien planet, because you don't have them on Earth, or at least I don't think we have floating rocks anywhere. And those platforms can be used to get to certain areas, but if you stand on them too long, they drop down like pretty much any platform game since the 80s. It's not going to be very hard and not going to be very focused on the platform and the jumping part, but it does add a lot of sensation to just getting around the level and finding your way. I also added crumbling platforms that are pretty much solid rock, but if you start walking on them, the earth starts shaking and smoke is coming up and debris, and then it just crumbles down, and you have to usually jump to a vine that you can now swing on, in case I hadn't mentioned that yet. I did, didn't I? Well, you can swing on those vines. So, I mean, you can jump from those ledges onto a vine and then swing on that. Enough about the vines. And finally, a huge amount of tiny changes and tweaks and fixes and improvements and additions, and just too much to mention. It's a whole list. I can actually show you the list. This is the list. As you can see, a lot of stuff, and I don't even write down everything I do. So there's even more than this list shows. And that's kind of the fun part about game development. Sometimes at the start of a project mainly, you have a huge amount of ideas, so you add a lot of stuff and visual stuff and a lot of interesting things, and you can show a lot of those new things to other people. But then you get in that part where a lot of those things you have been adding need to be fixed and need to be improved, and you can't show new stuff because you're working on the old stuff. It's just getting better and better. And then you get to the point where all that stuff is working and you have some room to add new content and new graphics and new features, and then you can show a lot of stuff again, and then you wrap up a project. I'm not sure where I am in that timeline, but I think I'm getting near the second content part, so I'm adding more new features as the game is there. It just needs more content, new items, new features, more and bigger. And once that's done, the game will be done, which is still a few months from now, but it's already looking pretty damn good. Now, before I end this video, one more thing before you forget. Next week, Residual will be playable on Steam as a demo version. Everything I've been showing in these videos will be available and playable. So make sure to check Steam, description below for the link. It will bring you right up to the page, and demo should be available there next week. The whole purpose of that demo is to be part of that Steam festival. There will eventually be a version on itch.io, and that will be available for Mac, and there will be a mobile version, and there will be a Switch version. But for now, this demo is just to gain wishlists and to gain some marketing and PR with the help of Steam and Valve. Hopefully, I have no idea how it all ends up, but that's the whole purpose of this demo. So make sure to play it. Description in the link below. Description in the link below. I think that's a link to the Steam page in the description below. Check it out, and that's it for this week's video. It's a short and sweet one, and it's a lot hyperactive, I know, but I'm in the middle of a bunch of cool stuff that I need to wrap up. So if you have any questions, drop them below, and I'll see you next week. Bye. And hopefully a lot of ah moments, like when you're playing and you say ah. Not sure if that's a good moment or not. So make sure to check Chuck E. Cheese. So